Yo, little fella, we out here, man. We going crazy. I think they're down here. I heard you, buddy. The audio seems really good. Oh! What feed? We starting off good. There's a little bug right here. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I was able to... Yo, we clap! Imagine. Body. Yeah, buddy. You're really camping already? Bro, the game just came out. This is your first game. Shit on. So, what's up, guys? It's here by Nino Rakwaji, and welcome to my Black Ops 6 Best Settings video. I just played my first game of Black Ops 6 on the beta here, and I was absolutely smacking fools, getting quad feeds left and right. Hell, some people assumed that I was already hacking just off the first game. So, of course, my settings are already big baller approved, and I thought I'd share them for you guys here in today's video. Of course, we got the whole Omni movement system, and just a note, you don't need to use the Omni movement system. It's more of an optional thing, but I will optimize settings here whether you want to use Omni movement or not to be the most successful player. So you guys are excited for the best controller settings, graphics settings, audio settings, or whatever the case may be? Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go to our settings here, go over the controller settings, and go ahead and cover this. So starting things off here, in case you guys don't know, my button layout is bumper jumper tactical flipped. And the reason why I rock with bumper jumper tactical flipped is that I jump with L2, aim in with L1, shoot with R1, and I slide/drop shot with R3. You know, we have these fancy controllers, you know, the DualSense Edge, scuff controllers, aim controllers, whatever the case is, when honestly you don't need to buy an extra special controller when you could just use a regular PS4 controller and optimize your settings. These settings allow me to drop shot effectively, jump and dive effectively. So if you really want to take full advantage of the Omni movement system, I felt really smooth during that first game because I was already accustomed to my button layout, and I was clapping these fools with the Omni movement within my first game. It's really nice to master these, and they might take you like a week or two to get used to, because I've been using and playing like this since Black Ops 3 back in like 2015, 2016. So I already have a decade's worth of playtime under this controller setting. But I'm telling you, if you master this controller setting, you will feel so much more at ease with the Omni movement settings, and it will go a long way. And of course, if you don't play flipped, which in case you guys are wondering, you can flip it right here with swap L1, R1, L2, R2. If you're like an Xbox player, you can do the opposite. Don't have it flipped or whatever. But I really like the way I play, and it's helped me a lot. Let's move on, though. Sig layout preset default, horizontal 6 sensitivity versus 6 sensitivity, 9 and 9. Reason why I keep it right in the middle is because if you have too low of a sensitivity, yes, your aim is going to be very much so on point, but it might be hard to, you know, target opponents, and especially turn on opponents when they come behind you. And this Omni movement system is in the game, so people are going to be behind you, they're going to be moving fast. So you want to have at least have a sensitivity that's at least fast enough to track these rapid moving opponents. And I think 9-9 is like that perfect medium. Because if you were playing on 20, yeah, you might be able to turn on people really quickly, but your aim might be shaky at like longer ranges or something. So that's why I keep myself in the middle. 9-9 is like the perfect medium for me. When it comes to these simplified controls and lower motor strain, I recommend having these off, unless you maybe have some sort of disability, then maybe have these on. These really simplify the controls for you, but I'm personally not going to use them just because I don't feel like I'm held back in any way. But just go ahead and put it on if it helps you. I'm never going to put these on though, but these are nice settings to have for those that maybe can't play in like the best capabilities or whatever. So shout out to Jackal for doing that. It's really sweet. Bumper ping, I just don't recommend having it on. Controller vibration, it's up to you if you want to have it off or on. I just have it off because I feel like I have more recoil. I know it's like a placebo thing, but I just have it off so I can be more steady with my shots. Dead zone inputs. So in order to test your dead zone, go ahead and have that on. And as long as your dead zones on the bottom there are 0%, then you have good enough dead zone. But if you want to adjust your dead zones, you know, sure you have left stick at 0 and right stick minimum at 0, and then test it again. And as you can see, I have some stick drift in the horizontal direction on my left stick and vertical direction on my right stick. So at least know I need to have some sort of left stick min and right stick min to lower that drift or whatever. So after doing that, I'm just gonna put it up to 5, which is too much, which is too low. And then when I go back to test it, it's gonna be at 0. So if you can achieve 0, you have no sort of stick drift, and you're gonna be able to be aiming to the best of your ability. Definitely mess around with that. Left trigger and right trigger, you should technically have these as low as possible if you're shooting with L2 and R2, like that. But I don't really shoot with these, so I don't really have them that low for that reason. Going on over to the aiming settings now, when it comes to the sensitivity multiplier, have it all on 1, but when it comes to ADS sense multiplier focus, I have it at 0.85. Just helps my accuracy a little bit more. When it comes to look inversion on foot, I just have it on standard. Aiming advanced settings. When it comes to look inversion, once again, just standard for these two. ADS sensitivity, transition timing, instant. Aim response curve type. Now, this is more of a more of test your own preference. By dynamic has been like the most optimal aim response curve type. Just feels like it has the most stickiest sensitivity. And there's been tests done on this setting ever since the model for 2019 days, Cold War days. Every pro pretty much runs on dynamic. I did run linear for a certain amount of time and that felt good, but I would recommend dynamic, just feels the best. But of course, mess with it to your own, liking. And you might find dynamic to be the best, or you might find standard linear to be the best. Up to you and what you feel like you're aiming the best with. And don't mess with the aim response curve slope scale. I feel like this lowers the stickiness, so I would just leave it at 1. I wouldn't really mess with that personally. When it comes to custom sensitivity per zoom, make sure you have, that on, and do your low zoom and 2x or 3x zoom at 0.9. When it comes to these low zoom optics, you want to have a little bit more better accuracy so you can keep track of your opponents, and you could be, having better accuracy. When it comes to the higher zoom sensitivities, you want to have that at 1.2 because they're a little bit more sluggish, and thus you want to be able to track, with a little bit of a higher optic with ease, which is why I have these a little bit higher. But these are going to be your most important ones because you're most likely not going to use a zoom optic higher than 3x. And then going over to, oh no wait, that was the advanced aiming settings. Now going over to target aim assist, make sure you have that on. Us controller players, we need our aim assist, and especially with all the crazy movement here, hey, that controller player is going to be OP, so have this shit on. Piss off those keyboard and mouse players. And then motion sensor behavior, I'm not really a motion sensor player, but you can mess around with that if you want. Now movement, they have a whole controller section on movement. Sprint assist, I personally have this off, and make sure you turn off sprint assist delay to 0 if you are going to have sprint assist on, just so you're in more control of your movement. And when it comes to sprint assist sideways and backwards, this is basically that omni movement. I think having these on, if you want to have omni movement, is nice, but if you don't want to mess with certain aspects of omni movement, you could also turn these off. I wouldn't recommend doing so. I'd say, learning the movement is nice, but if you don't want to learn the movement, you could have these off and obviously perform like a regular COD player. So up to you at the end of the day. I'm just going to go ahead and have things my own way. Mantle assist, I just have that off. All of these are kind of like personal preference in a sense. Crouch assist, I also have that off. I just don't really mess with that. Automatic airborne mantle on. Slide/dive behavior, I actually have this on tap to slide, where in the past, I have had it on slide only, just because diving was really important. But with the omni movement, there is some preference to diving. Now, you can either use this or hybrid. I tried to use hybrid back in Modern Warfare 3. It was a little bit hard to master, but if you can master hybrid, you will master omni movement really well. I don't know if I'll ever make that switch, or maybe I'll attempt it in the future, but go ahead and mess with hybrid. But I thought I was doing pretty well with just tap to slide, so up to you. Auto door peek on. Honestly, when it came to this, it didn't really, I have it on, and I don't feel like it automatically peeked me, so I think it's just nice to have it on. But of course, if you don't want to automatically door peek, you can just have it off, up to you. Movement advanced settings, so even more movement settings. I just have this on toggle. Auto move forward off. I don't like automatic sprint because you're not in control of your character. That's also why I don't have automatic sprint on. It's pretty much for the same reason. I want to be in full control of my character, especially with the omni movements in this game. Sprint restore. You should have this on so that you can automatically sprint as soon as possible. Slide maintain sprint. You want to be able to sprint out of your slide to maintain that movement. Tactical sprint behavior, single tack sprint. Plunging underwater trigger. Sprinting door bash on so you can move through doors, whatever doors there are in this game. Vehicle advanced settings. Nothing you really got to mess with there. Now, combat. ADS behavior is hold, weapon mount activation, melee, ADS plus melee. Quick C4 detonation, I have that on 1x1. Quick weapon behavior, hold, manual fire behavior, press. Combat advanced settings. There's so much shit here, bro. Honestly, all this is pretty much default, I believe. I don't think you really need to change anything here unless you want to. Ah, here it is. Here's something interesting. Swap body shield and execution behavior. So if you want to go ahead and do a body shield or do an execution, you gotta double tap. Currently in the game, if you have this off, you gotta double tap to do a body shield, and you gotta hold it to do an execution. But if you want to flip that behavior over, you could, if you prefer body shielding over executions. Pretty cool setting that they have there. And then going over to overlay advanced settings, you don't really got to mess with this either. So yeah, that's going to be our controller settings. Now let's move on to the graphics settings. So when it comes to graphics, I always have full screen borderless, but if you don't do content creation or you have like a dual PC setup, just do regular full screen. But when it comes to the display adapter, I have a 3080 Ti PC. All of my specs are on screen in case you guys are curious. I play on a 1440p monitor. You know, up to you what you want to have. Just make sure you're on your highest frames that you can. And then NVIDIA reflex low latency. If you're on PC, I usually recommend on. Some people like on plus boost. Some people like off. I think most PCs are usually better on. This is just what I've always worked with me. But of course, you can test out the other settings and feel if your performance is better or not. Eco mode preset custom. What else here? Custom frame limit, you know, you can see that right there, and then everything else here is up to you. You don't really got to change anything else. Oh, menu render resolution. I just have this on optimal, so it doesn't take up too much, you know, specs or whatever. I don't think maximal is too good, but you could do native, but I don't know. I wouldn't really, like, mess with that too much. Graphic preset custom, render resolution. Since I already play on 1440p, me lowering my render resolution to 90 as opposed to 100, I'm still going to have the game look nice because I'm in the middle, and this is going to help me get more frames. If you don't have that good of a PC, you could lower the render resolution, but then the game will look a little bit ugly, and that's up to you if you want frames or the ability to see the game a little bit better. I'm right in the middle, and obviously I stream and record all on one PC, so I kind of sacrifice some of that visibility, but I still, you know, the games look good for YouTube and everything like that, so it's up to you at the end of the day. Fidelity FX Cast is my sharpening, and all this, I really didn't mess with this. The only one that I really mess with is Fidelity FX Cast Strength. I have that at 90. You can put it at 100, it just makes the game look better. I wouldn't really recommend touching anything else there. And all this is like default, check, and then to optimize my frames and the way the game looks, these are the settings that I have on. Texture resolution low, but of course if you want a little bit better resolution, you can put on normal to make the game look better. But I wanted some extra frames because I noticed my frames were a little bit low on this game compared to the previous game, so I have it on low for that reason. Texture filter anisotropic, normal, depth of field off, just because it makes the background kind of blurry. Nearby level of detail low, particle resolution normal, bullet impacts, precision effects on, shader quality low, on-demand texture streaming, which is very important. Make sure you have this on minimal. And I usually have this at 16, but it keeps resetting. So make sure you have this at 16, download limits on, and put your daily download limits to 1, because this actually takes up some internet. And if you don't want your internet to be affected or you don't want to lag, you want to lag the least amount, these are the best settings here to do. But if you don't care and you want the game to look nice, you could do optimized, so the game looks as nice as possible, but up to you. Local texture streaming quality low, shadow quality very low, screen space shadows off, ambient lighting high, SSR off, static reflection quality low, tessellation off, volumetric quality low, physics quality off, weather grid volumes low, and water quality wavenet wetness, which is going to make the games look nice, but I don't need all the craziest, you know, graphics too, because I want more frames. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. And then going over to the view settings here, I always have 120 FOV. And the reason why I play on 120 FOV is because it allows me to just see as much of the map as possible. You know, I'm hip firing or I'm trying to look as much of the map. This extended field of view will help me track opponents and be able to target them. Now, when it comes to ADS field of view, most YouTubers, I'd say, pretty much play unaffected. I personally like independent, and the difference between these two is in affected, you're forever having that 120 FOV. So when you're ADSing, you're still at 120 FOV, so you see more of your screen. And you're probably asking, Hero, why do you play on independent? Well, when you're ADSing, you're trying to focus in on something or someone. And for me, it's better if you have a lower FOV. In case you don't know, when you ADS with independent, it lowers the FOV to 100 or 80, I believe. And thus you have a smaller FOV, but everything that you're seeing on your screen appears larger. And thus you're able to pick out those opponents a lot easier, especially for longer ranges, and that's why I personally like independent. Of course, play with what you like, but I'm gonna be part of the independent gang. Weapon field of view, wide. Vehicle field of view, wide, just so obviously they're the smallest as possible. This makes the weapon look small, vehicle look small. You see as much of your screen as possible. World motion blur, weapon motion blur, both off. Blur is just gonna fuck you over. If you're turning around the corner and the world is blurry, you're fucking yourself over because all you're gonna see is the blur. You're really not gonna see that opponent that easily, so just have these off, please. First person camera movement, have this at 50%, because if you have it at 100% or 75, you're gonna have a little bit more shakiness and motion thickness. It's just not good. It basically gives you a little bit more recoil, so 50% is gonna be the best. Inverted flashbang is gonna be off, just for me, but of course you wanna have it on, you could. And then that's it for our graphic settings here, so let's go to our audio settings already. And when it comes to audio, master game volume should be at 100, gameplay music volume at 0, and cinematic music volume at 0. Of course, you keep it kind of low, you know, anywhere between 2 and 10. But you want to hear the footsteps and like voices and stuff, which are a lot more important. So that's why we have those at 0. When it comes to dialogue volume, I do actually want to hear some callouts. So I'm going to have that at like between 40 and 50. So 48 is where I have it. Callouts are important to hear, like kill streak callouts, maybe a teammate calling out or whatever. So I think that's important. Effects volume, I have that at 100. You want to be able to hear when an enemy is around you. And I was able to soundboard pretty easily on this game, on my first game on. Yeah. Helicopter! Watchdog Hilo, inbound. They're coming for me. So these sound settings work. I was able to hear people footsteps, sliding, especially because everybody's moving around with the Omni movement. This will help you a ton in being able to locate your enemies through audio. Audio mix, I do speak PC speaker because I am on my PC, but if you play on your console, I do recommend home theater or headphone space boost. That's what I used to use when I played on console. Default system device, I think all of this here is personal preference, reduce tinnitus sound on, just because the sounds be kind of annoying. Voice chat here is also personal preference, I believe, so you can customize that to your own extent. And now we've got our interface settings here. So when it comes to the interface here, you could choose to have subtitles on. Personally, I just have them off because they look ugly for gameplay on YouTube and streaming and stuff with all the text and stuff. But honestly, if I wasn't a content creator, I'd have that shit on because being able to read is a lot better and you're able to respond better than hearing the audio. Because sometimes audio like killstreak sounds or effects can be delayed, and thus reading it will help you respond better. So up to you if you want to have subtitles on, I would recommend it. And then all this here is personal preference. Here are my color customization. Customize the colors any way you want. I didn't really change anything. I think the game is fine. And then gameplay HUD. I think this is very important. So when it comes to HUD presets, so we got the ability to customize our HUD in some sort of way. This is what you're going to be starting off with. I highly recommend magnified. I must, go between them like really quickly here. We got magnified, and then we got standard. And the reason why I recommend magnified is because it makes your mini map on the left way bigger. Way bigger. You see that difference? You're going to be able to see those red dots, those, you're going to be able to see, what matters, your information a lot more easily. And thus, I recommend magnified for that reason, so that you can obviously go to the red dots. So magnified is going to be your way to go. If you want to have the compass on top, you could go to mission interface. If you liked what we had back in MW2, MW3, having the compass up there in case you're like counter UAV'd, you can do that. But I think magnified is going to be the best HUD layout so that you can, know where your opponents are at. So definitely customize this HUD. It goes in. And then you can also customize the HUD colors as well. You can do a lot. So up to you, but I do recommend magnified immediately. Minimap shape. When you first load onto the game, it's going to be on round. Do not play on round. Square has way more surface area. It makes the minimap look bigger, and thus you're going to be able to see more red dots on your minimap. So switch to square as soon as possible. Round, you're going to be holding yourself back. Minimap rotation on. Radar. Top of the minimap radar backing on or off. I don't think you need that. I think it gives like a little red glow behind the minimap. You could try that out. I don't think you need it though. Compass type. You have the minimap or horizontal or off. I think just minimap would be fine there. Vehicle HUD prompts fade after 10 seconds. In-game text chat on. Player names full name. Hit marker visuals on and damage-based hit markers off. And there you guys go. So that is my full settings right now for Black Ops 6 here. They're pretty much very similar to my model for 3 settings, but as you guys saw there were some little differences to like reduce the use of Omni movement if you want to, or change around your settings and your HUD most importantly. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna go ahead and drop some nukes today. You guys drop a like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, follow me over on my Twitch. We're gonna be streaming a ton of Black Ops 6 this weekend and dropping these nukes. Subscribe for the best Black Ops 6 content and watch my previous videos. I showed off some nuke gameplay, as well as how to unlock the camos in this game, and much more, and super in-depth information about the creative class in this game. It's insane how much there is into this game. Let me know your first thoughts on Black Ops 6 after playing the beta. I love you all.